Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2005 here in TEW 2020 as it's time for the final go-home shows before Superbrawl 2005, which will be main evented by Rob Van Dam versus Jeff Jarrett for the WCW Championship. But before we got that, we got Nitro and Revolution to go through. And one more thing is, of course, the WCW 2004 year-end awards, which I'm going to basically close out after Superbrawl is, basically as the last Nitro, as the Nitro after Superbrawl is posted. So what'll happen is, of course, today, you guys will get, on Monday, you'll get this final Nitro, Friday will be Superbrawl, and then Monday will be the final closeout. And honestly, what I'll do is I'll stop taking votes, I'll type it the results on Monday when I post the week after, the shows after Superbrawl, and then, then I'll go off the results probably that Friday or something, whatever, Again, so you got basically about another week to get everything in after this. So again, we got, just, it doesn't matter if you haven't, watched the whole series for the past in gaming or anything like that, as long as you think you've watched enough to say what you think, that's fine. But we got Wrestler of the Year, which is, Booker, Eddy, Joanie Laurer, Monty Brown, RVD, Sean O'Hare, and Shane Helms. We got Tag Team of the Year, which is Red and Chavo, America's Wanted, Jet and London, mischief, Morningstar, and the Silver City Rollers of Reno and Cash. Interesting that only two of these teams are still around. Women's Wrestler of the Year is Slim Cartier, Gail Kim, Joanie Laurer, Nikita Cole, and Tricia Sky. Match of the Year, we got a whole ton, including Eddy versus Vampiro for the title back at the last showdown in the Sun. Booker versus RVD for the title at Wrestle War. Vampiro versus Morningstar at Slamboree. Sean O'Hare versus Booker at British Assault and O'Hare's first title shot. Keenan versus Kidman and their first match taken on each other. And AJ versus Eddy, which is a surprisingly good match at Starrcade. And of course, O'Hare versus Palumbo at Starrcade. For Moment of the Year, we got Las Rose and Ray Jr. Silvering with the Mexican crowd back at the Arena Mexico after Showdown in the Sun. Missy Warren's return on Vampiro. Booker winning the title. Sean O'Hare calling a shot winning the world title. Monty Brown sending Goldberg through the WCW structure at Havoc. And Missy is throwing David Flair into the ocean in front of Flair and Sting. We got Face Character of the Year. We got Heel Character of the Year. We got Feud of the Year, which includes Goldberg versus Monty, Kane versus Kidman, O'Hare versus Palumbo, O'Hare versus Deadpool, RVD versus Shane Helms, and others. And we got the favorite stable. So again, you don't have to have had to have watched the whole year, but if you think what you watched is enough, then go ahead and just fill out the form there. But I'll be back in a second with Nitro. All right, and we open the show with, surprisingly, Raven coming out to the ring. With the Series of Sin, who I forgot to add as sort of backing him up. Still not named, but still just Raven with him. As he says, he takes a mic and says, all throughout history, fools have chased after monsters only to miss the true power standing behind the throne. So many people have told me that I must be even more out of my mind because I need to take out Messias to get to destroy the message, when that is simply not true. You see, that's a false choice. I must destroy the message, not to destroy Messias, but to bring Messias to me. Morningstar, in 6 days, I want you to take me on in this ring where I took so much pain and punishment and took it all, smiled, and then destroyed those in front of me. You see, you claim to have a connection to the abyss with the message. I was born in that abyss. I crawled out of that abyss after so much abuse I suffered. When you only have come into it recently. There was never a message sent to me because there was never anything for me. So come Superbrawl and defend your message and your control, or else. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. So let's get to 75, mainly because Raven isn't quite over enough, but this sets up Raven versus Morningstar for Superbrawl, which is made official, via the announcers over the show. And there we go. Big match, Raven versus Morningstar. As this gets to 75, and again, Raven is the babyface, but he's not really a babyface, he's just slightly less evil, or going after evil, so the fans are behind him, but he's still the same twisted guy he's always been. So there we go. And then you have a big six-man match announced tonight, as it's going to be Kanyon teaming up with Tajiri and Chavo Guerrero Jr. to take on Kaz, Yang, and Eddy Guerrero. As the announcers also put over that Chavo has agreed with Tajiri to take on Kaz and Yang at the pay-per-view. So some last-minute matches being set up here. As it gets a 70, that's just a 1 minute, a promo package. And then we have before our four-way match, which I forgot to change with the people. So we have Shannon Moore, Minoru Fujita, and Reckless Roberts, not Mike Sydal. I forgot to change him out of the match once I realized what was going on there. And then finally, Prince Jose comes out, and as he has a tendency to do, he says he, as Kenny and Prince, doesn't want to risk injury and have to going back to get the great medical care in Ghana. So simply, he wants to offer them all enough money to forget about this match. And it looks like it's going to end. He actually hands them money to Vegeta, he hands them money to more, and he hands the money to Reckless Roberts. When as Osei is smiling to the crowd, all three men look at each other and go after Osei, and the match is on. So this gets a 55, just to basically continue to put over Osei's character, get some new people on TV, and in the 4-way cruiserweight match, which is a pure high spots match, Prince Osei gets the win over Roberts, Moore, and Fujita in 9 minutes. When Osei pins Moore with a butterfly suplex, simply because I didn't have another win. So this is one big face, 3 heels. Osei is he's a good wrestler, nothing great, but he's more character. Fujita gets throw people around. Roberts tries to take people down with moves. Moore plays the high flying babyface, hitting big dives. But in the end, Osei gets the big win over Moore, drops him with butterfly suplex as the other 2 guys are outside the ring. 1, 2, 3, and a big win for here on Nitro for Osei live on Nitro. As this gets a 53, Robert gets a 51, Moore gets a 37, Osei gets a 53, and Fujita gets a 37. And for you guys that don't know Reckless Roberts, if you don't remember from the Cruiserweight qualifiers, is Reckless Youth. Long-time indie star who didn't really get a chance because he was slowing down by the time the boom happened in the mid-2000s, but here he's still wrestling, so here he is on TV. And Osei was actually off his game, which is interesting. And post-match, Osei celebrates the boos of the crowd, which gets a 57. So that's, he gets decent, and yeah, there we go. As we move on. As we go backstage, where Borash is with America's Most Wanted, and he asks them, why they came out and, saved, I think it was Eddie, or was it? Anyway, why they made save for RVD and why they pee me up after, being in long feuds with men such as Heart Legacy and even Air Raid for the tag team titles. And, Storm says, we always wanted to fight. We never scared to get them dirty because this business is about cashing checks and winning. But a certain king took us down the wrong path and convinced us of the wrong way. That there were those who wanted to fight with us that never wanted that fight. Sure, Heart Legacy, Air Raid, they wanted competition, but they never hated us. In the long term, we never hated them. We just wanted to be at the top of this business. And her steps to him and says, look, starting at Starcade, we won those matches, clean right in the middle, and we got some tears. And then we were facing those monsters, these Morningstar. Whereas the crowd was getting behind us. And that was a lot more than we ever have heard. And honestly, we realized we could do the same damn thing we've been doing against other assholes and get the crowd behind us. And look, we have the gold for a reason. So Nindrak, Devine, you may want to take these belts off us, but sorry about your damn luck. So decent promo basically explaining, they're baby faces now, but they're still the same men as this get to 73. As this has been a project that I'm actually pretty happy with overall. They're about over as they were in real life. Well, maybe even a little bit more over than real life in TNA at this time, so that's good. And then we go backstage where Matt Sydal is backstage doing babyface, just backstage doing backstage stuff. And Il Skipper walks into him and he, reminds him, a couple days, you think you're going to take that title? I'm the human hierarchy of the Cruiserweight division, and I'm going back my Cruiserweight title. And Matt says, look, I understand. You think you got screwed out of your title, but after Superbrawl, it's going to time for a new generation Cruiserweights. And I'm going to lead that new generation. And they square off as the intro is put over. It's going to be a triple threat match involving these 2 men and the Cruiserweight champion Takumi Shoku at Superbrawl 42, as these guys aren't the greatest, actors, but there we go. Can you set that up? And then you have an interesting match, as in a Battle of Wrestling Little Heat, the Truth gets the win over Haikuto Hidaka in sub 43 by pinfall the Truth or Consequences. Hidaka, gets to throw his kicks around. Truth fires back, does some brawling, does the little breakdance kicks. And eventually, it's, Truth, as Truth put over, Letty confronted Jason Jett, the TV champion, last week. And it looks like he's, Hidaka actually gets a few big kicks in, and even picks him up for a modified brainbuster, but Truth gets out of it, hits a few big moves, rolls through, hits the Truth or Consequences. 1, 2, 3. Pinfall victory for Truth here live on Nitro, as this gets a 61. Truth gets a 60. Hidaka gets a 48. Solid match. You need to get Truth over. And then he takes the mic and says, Jason Jett, you think you're the king of TV? Just because you won the title and you defend a few times? Well, the Truth is here, and the Truth is going to win that title. to prove that there's truth, that there's going to be truth and consequences for what you've done. And you may call yourself money, but I'm all about that cheddar. And I know gold, to earn that cash, you need gold in this business. And Jason Jett, you're in my way. I'm going to get that title. And that's the damn truth. 68, decent promo, as Truth is like good on the mic even at this point, so he's slowly being built up. And, probably never going to be a world champion, at least with this roster, but he could be a solid part of the roster. And then we go backstage as Kaz and Yang is with Stacy and walks Eddy. And basically, this is a bit of a mutual admiration society, as Eddy's like, I'm happy that you all realized what the right side is. Like, for so long, Stacy, you were with those goofs when you could have done better. And this says, you're great wrestlers, so let's kick some ass tonight and show my nephew, Chavo Tajiri, and that asshole Kanyon what it's like. And Stacy's like, Eddy, we respect you, but we're teaming together because it's about business. So this is a business arrangement. We're happy to kick some ass and take out Tajiri and your nephew for you. But we're going to focus on what we need, and you need to focus on you. And he's like, that's fine, as long as you're ready to back me up. And they agree. Not before Eddy does a little lure at Stacy because he's still a heel and he's still Eddy Guerrero in 2005, so there we go. But this gets an 85 as these guys are, like, Kaz, pretty over, Yang getting right, Stacy's actually pretty good on the mic, and Eddy is Eddy. So there we go, can you build up the 6-man tag? And then we have a big confrontation as, block hits as RVD comes out as the Andros put over. He had a tough defense against Rey Mysterio Jr. on Revolution, and then was attacked by the entirety of the Triumvirate. As, RVD comes out of the ring, gets cheers, and says, I'd like to tell everybody, I'm 100% man, I'm not. Kidman, that jackass and his buddies, thinks, they can take me out and take my tail off of me like that. But, I'm still here. Because I'm still the WCW World Champion for a reason. And that means something in this business. Way back, man, when I wanted to be Mr. Monday Night, I talked about it. Talked about big contracts. Talked about money. Talked about glory. Big crowds. But deep down, I knew what I really wanted to prove was to be the best wrestler in the world. And this, as he holds the title, means I'm the best wrestler in the world. And there's nobody that can deny that. Cowboy. Jeff Jarrett coming out to a big heel response. He says, Rob, I watched Revolution, and what I saw? A man getting his just desserts. Slapnuts, you think you're something special, but, you can be Gumby, all stretchy and stuff all around that ring, but we're all human at the end of the day. And every time you get in that ring, bleed, hit with chairs, dive over the top, or end up with a knee in your gut after flying onto somebody's body, it's just another ding and a little bit more damage that makes it that much easier for me in 6 days for me the world champion that I deserve. For too long, I wasted my time backing up old men with no talent who think they had some, and weirdos. Now I have my chosen few, and Slapnuts, there's no path that doesn't end up to me as a WCW world champion. Everybody smiles and says, Jeff, dude, I'm not gonna say you're not a great wrestler. Hell, maybe you would have been world champion even with that video clerk as your patron for so long. But every time I walk in the ring, I know I can lose that world title. But at Superbrawl, I'm going to take you to every limit we can. After Sunday night, it's still going to be RVD, as he points to himself, that spells champion, because I'm the whole bleeping show of WCW. Jarrett says back, Slapnuts, keep on believing that. Tick-tock. When you look in those lights, remember what she said. Another stare down as the nurse is put over, the big main event, as this gets a 97, as these guys are really good, and we're really setting up this main event match. So there we go. And then we have a match, basically, as the youngsters put over, this first time we see Shawn O'Hare in the ring in a bit here on Nitro, as against Jerry Lynn, and it's basically a squash. Like, Jerry Lynn gets a little bit of offense in, but this is just a, put O'Hare over show as, he basically eventually hits, the big power slam, the lariat picks him up, Widowmaker, 1, 2, 3, right in the ring. Nothing special, just a clean win for O'Hare, as O'Hare gets an 84, Lynn gets a 54, this gets 70 overall, and there you go. And, O'Hare takes the mic, and he, begins a promo, but before he can even start the promo, the, Tron at the top of the ramp comes up, and look what it is. It's Chuck Palumbo. And Chuck Palumbo is in the parking lot. And, he says, "Hey, Sean, would have been happy to face you down one-on-one and get you to hit me and blow this match. Unfortunately, damn, Rent-A-Cops didn't allow me in the arena. But I want to send you a message, and it's this." As he holds a baseball bat, as he's standing behind an expensive car, whatever would have been cool at this point for a babyface to have, something sleek. And here's the thing. Sean. I know you're going to play the good man and not come out here and blow the pay-per-view match. But that's just fine by me, Sean. As he takes the baseball bat and crunches the window. And then he walks around and crunches the windshield. Because when I'm done with you on Sunday, smash another window, will you not only be out at any chance of ever being the top dog in this company again, you'll have a broken car, a broken career, and no way to get any revenge. Because this is my time now, not O'Hare. It's my time to rise to the top. I'm going to get you out of my way any way I damn can. And he then bashes another back of the window. And O'Hare comes back and says, "Chuck, windows can be replaced. But, Chuck, we used to be brothers. But you gotta remember one thing. You don't want to think about what you'll have to replace after Superbrawl, and I'm done with you." And there we go. 91. Good promo. Unfortunately, they both got dinged for a little improvised dialogue, but that happens. Still a hot feud as we go on to Superbrawl. And then we have basically a Goldberg hype package, like a, visiting sick kids, doing public appearances, all that fun stuff that a top guy does. As he enters put over, Bill Goldberg will be at Superbrawl in a special interview to talk about the future of his WCW career. So let's get to 85, just to get over that Goldberg will be at Superbrawl. For what reason? We don't know. Well, I know. You don't. And then we go backstage where Borash is with Shane Helms and his new bodyguard, Taze Tomko, as Borash says, are you, last week, you shocked the world by taking out the last member of the Helms legacy, and what are you going to do after this? Well, Borash, first of all, as the greatest United States champion of all time, and a man who would have been the greatest world champion of all time if WCW officials didn't get in my way. It's pretty simple. U.S. gold. Had it. World gold. Had it. Cruiserweight gold. Had it. There's only one belt for me left to get. And it's this tag team titles. I don't care who are the champions. It's what I have beside me as a partner. This man who's bodyguarded all over the world. He can throw people around just like that. So, what you're looking at is the future tag team champions of the world. So there you go, 65 promo, mainly because I wanted to rate Tomko on Menace just to see what would happen, and not that great, but at least we know for the future now. So there you go, especially Helms and Tomko have kind of entered the tag division, but we'll see what happens with that. And then we have a, sort of a preview for the tag team title match, as it's James Storm versus Simply Johnny Devine, and a really fun match. Like, Devine can do his, heel cruiserweight stuff, Storm can do some brawling and some big moves. Imagine Storm, going for the 8-second ride, but Devine, hitting, doing an eye poke or pulling hair to get out of it, hitting some big moves, maybe going for the Devine intervention early, but eventually, Mark Jindrak gets involved, does a little, neck tap on the ropes while the ref is distracted. Devine hits his finisher on Storm. 1, 2, 3, and the challengers to the tag champs get a big win just 6 days before Superbrawl. As this gets a 77, so about what I was expecting and hoping. Storm gets a 76, Devine gets a 72, and a big win for the heels right before Superbrawl. And post-match, Jindrak and Devine hit to the top of the ramp, making belt motions as the crowd boos, as the Emperors put over the tag title match at the pay-per-view, as this gets a 73. And then we have a quick backstage promo with Austin Aries, as he says, "I am the future of cruiserweight wrestling in WCW. You don't have to like me. You can despise me, but there's nothing you can do because I have natural talent. And it doesn't matter who's the champion after Superbrawl. I'm going to come for that title because it's time for a new damn era." Just a quick promo, putting over as a heel and, getting some time on TV. As this gets a 46. We have a quick Revolution rebounds, focusing on Rey Jr. versus RVD for the title and the aftermath. And then it's time for our main event, which I hope is good. Okay, yep, there we go. Oh, shit, I keep on forgetting to turn Stacy Cooper. Okay, I mean, not the end of the world. So, I mean, you can sort of imagine what this match is like. Like, Keenan and Eddy, like, try to avoid each other throughout the match, just put this over. And, you know, probably have some fun spots as Eddy versus Chavo, of course, is a long-term feud. Eddy and Tajiri never really had a feud in real life that they had in real life, but they'd still be awesome together. Kaz and Yang get to get over as tag team. Tajiri and Chavo probably get a little bit of fighting. And, you know, just some quick, you know, consistent, like, you know, this is a fun 18-minute match where everybody gets to look great. But in the end, Kane and Eddy start brawling, and that's just enough for Kaz. You know, basically, he's able to hit a quick, like, series of crescent and savate kicks on Tajiri, and Yang, like, you know, hits a big dive on Chavo to stop him from coming in. And in the end, Kaz gets a win over Tajiri to, you know, set up their match, the big tag match. At Superbrawl, well, Eddy and Kanyon continue to brawl. This gets an 86. Eddy gets a 94. Yang gets a 47. Kaz gets an 81. Tajiri gets a 73. Chavo gets a 74. Kanyon gets a 93. Fun stuff. You know, Eddy was off his game, and there you go. But a big win for the heels, and post-match, Kanyon and Eddy just continue to brawl. At the end of the shows, you know, it's really put over. You know, these are two of the foundations of WCW for the last few years, former world champions, and at Superbrawl, they'll be battled to prove who truly is the best. 99, and overall, this show gets us a 89. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, we didn't have that really hot opening, promo, which probably hurt it by a couple points, but still a really good show. And as this continues to load, it's gotta love loading. Loading, doo-ba-dee-doo. This is what happens a couple years into a game that's been, you know, converted at least once. A lot of data. A lot of data. I would just pause this, but, you know, there we go. All right, so Nitro. First, any interesting mail. Okay. Oh yeah, also Ernest Miller walked out, which is interesting because he's Bischoff's friends, but probably part of the reason is, like, look, yeah, I mean, this is his, like, he was on a handshake anyway, but if you just look at his work so far in WCW, 1 win, 5 draws. He hasn't had a match on, like, you know. Then, yeah, I mean, he's not had the best time here in WCW, which makes sense. He had that fun little thing with Miss Jones, but that's the end thing. And also, he's the 3BW National Champion, so good for him. But not a great loss. Like, he would have been nice to keep as an undercard jobber, but, you know, shit happens. What can you do? So let's look at what Raw did. Okay, so Raw had an 87, so big one for us. Okay, we had Cherry Slice defeating Christy Cummings, Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. She put even Jamie Keys by DQ. Amber James beat Selena Majors. Shawn Michaels defeated Scott Vick in an 81. That's interesting. Trish Jericho defeated Maven by DQ in an 83. Vampiro Kane and Leviathan defeated Ernie Gordon and Bumpy Bryan in 95. And main event, Big Show and Undertaker defeated Scott Hall and Scott Steiner in 94. So, yeah, no sign of Chris Benoit again, but, you know, not the end of the world. Okay, so this got, on Paramount, this got 2.3 million viewers, and we got on, where are we? TBS. We got 2.87, so about 150,000. Let's see here. Anything else of note? IWAPR had a show. Jerry Styles versus Kanyon was the main event. Rick Steiner was involved. BG Jane versus Sandman. Wow, that's... Oh yeah, I keep on forgetting The Miz is in Puerto Rico, which is just hilarious to me. And yeah, interesting. And let's see here. Anything else of note? APW is doing APW stuff. So yeah. All right, that's it for the moment. So I'll be back in just a second with Revolution. All right, and it's now time for Revolution, live from the Reno Event Center in a smaller arena than we're regularly in, mostly because there's nothing else close to Nevada that I haven't already been to recently that, like, we could use. So here we are, a few days out from Superbrawl in Las Vegas, and we start with the show basically just putting over a big main event tonight in a in a Superbrawl preview, as he also put over that it's been officially signed that Rey Mysterio Jr. will team up with AJ Styles to take on Mike Awesome and Lance Storm in a huge tag match at Superbrawl, along with previously announced Paul Hunter versus Billy Kidman match. But tonight it will be London and AJ teaming up to take on Kidman and Storm, also former tag team champions. So let's get to 74. I was then go to our opener, which is a match tonight. Because hey, gotta do some matches occasionally as openers, not just opening promos every time. As we got, and another huge win for Keenan Anderson. He defeats Keenan Sharpe again, back and Sharpe does his Muay Thai stuff, does his fighting, tries to take out Anderson, but Anderson, does a little bit of brawling, a little bit of, just aggressive, big US Pro style stuff, and eventually, Sharpe goes for a, goes for a kick one times. Anderson suplexes him over a few times, Sharpe gets him more aggressive, Anderson does some brawling, Anderson sends him, Sharpe goes for an attack on the outside, runs into the ring post. Anderson takes over, and they'll hit the Kenton bomb, which is just the running roll through fireman's carry bomb, and gets the 1, 2, 3, another huge victory over Sharpe here on Nitro to open up things. As this gets a 64, Anderson gets a 50, Sharpe gets a 72, and a big win for Anderson here on Revolution, open things up. And post-match, Anderson celebrates as Sharpe recovers in the ring as Anderson put over a huge victory here in Anderson's young WCW career. 58, solid stuff. And then we go backstage, where we see Booker T leaving Teddy Long's office here at Reno, as Amy Weber catches up to him, asking, what was he talking to Teddy Long about? And, Booker just, looks at Weber, looks over to Sharmell shrugs, and Booker T says, I was looking for a spot on Superbrawl, but Long said there wasn't any spot, which is a disgrace that a chance for a six-time world champion was there for a sucker. But that just tells me Booker T has to get back on the right path. And I need to make an impact somehow. And I'm going to do that sooner than later. And you are asking what exactly you do. And Booker says, why do you think I would tell you and reveal it to everybody? He has some patience for surprise. And everyone's going to dig what I'm going to end up doing. So, decent little promo here, putting Booker, he's not going to be on the Superbrawl card, but he says he still wants to make an impact as this gets a 78. Fun stuff. Moving things forward. And then we go backstage where Gail Kim cuts a promo and she says, every time I'm asked about the women's division in WCW, people always point to Joanie Laurer, Patricia Sky, some people point to Lizzie Dumas. And I always ask, isn't it great that all these stars are here to make this division stronger? And I always tell you, I'm happy they're here, but this is still my division. I'm still the head bitch in charge of the women's division, and tonight, I'm going to remind everybody that when I beat Joanie Laurer in that ring and get a title shot at Superbrawl against Trisha Sky. You see, I don't dislike Trisha Sky, I don't dislike Joanie Laurer. We're competitors. But I'm going to remind them why I ran this division for so long, and why I'm not going to be left behind. 78, good promo, again putting over the match later tonight of Joanie Laurer versus Gail Kim. And then we have our other women's match, as in a big women's match, of course, what happened after Captivation, sort of a current to Celine Cartier. As in a decent match, Celine Cartier actually gets a huge win over Lizzie Dumas in 9:53 with Celeste LeVay, which is an air raid crash. So you can sort of imagine this match, Celine does a little brawling and power moves. Lizzie Dumas flies, does some high flying stuff, some fighting of her own, hits the twist of fate, goes up top for a moonsault. Cartier gets her knees up, hits a few big moves, and then is able to pick up Cartier into picks Dumas into the Celeste LeVay, and with nowhere to go, boom, 1, 2, 3, a big win for Celine Cartier over Lizzie Dumas. As this gets a 66, and Dumas gets a 70, 69 overall, nice. And then post-match, looks like the rest of the Captivation are going to attack Cartier, but the undercard babyfaces, Roni Jonah, Lala Vives, and Nine Hurt all make the save, and there's a standoff where the heels finally back away as this gets a 54, and there you go. And Vives' gimmick is already stale, which is interesting. Okay. That's unfortunate, which I'll have to fix. And then we go backstage where, we're in Long's office as he's doing GM paperwork, and while they're trying for it, come in, and, he looks up, basically to ask them what they want, and Kidman says, I bet you think you're clever, Long. You think that you're going to take us down, and you're going to rip us apart, and you're going to make sure we don't get what we deserve. And Long's like, what are you talking about? You see? And, Kevin's like, you want us to continue to get stuck in matches versus guys like Styles, London, and Rey Mysterio Jr., because that means we're not going after WWE's meal ticket. Remember, I have the call shot. That means no matter when, no matter where, I can get a title shot of my choosing. So you think we're going to stand by and let you walk over us. You're reminded why he's the most dominant. He's one of the most dominant men in this business. He's awesome, and he's the best technical wrestler. Yes, you want a match against AJ Styles, that young punk, and Ray Jr. Ray Jr.'s a legend, and Styles has a lot of bright future, but they're not going to be ready for one of the best tag teams in WCW history. And Paul London, I know you want to make him something special just because some of the girls in the crowd like him, but he's going to be reminded why I was a former US champion, and I'm the called shot, and why he's been nothing on his own. Long's like, players, you want some competition? I got you some competition. Prove yourself tonight at the pay-per-view, and we'll see what happens after that. Till then, get out of my office. So there you go, 76, decent stuff to sort of build up. That's going to be a big show tonight. And then we have Monty Brown killing TJ Perkins in 2 minutes with the pounce. This is just a put Monty over. TJ's a local guy. He gets an 18. Monty Brown gets a 83 rather. And as Monty Brown is celebrating, out of nowhere, Brother Ray jumps the ramp, comes over and tackles Brother Ray from behind, and the fight is on. They immediately roll to the outside, brawl up the ramp, and before WC officials come out and pull him apart, Brother Ray breaks over and he's going to actually hits a big lariat on Monty Brown, takes him out. It looks like he's going to hit the bubble bomb, hits the whatever we're calling the bubble bomb off the stage, but WC officials pull him away, and as the announcers put over this huge battle at Superbrawl. As it gets an 84, and there you go. And then we go backstage where Amy Weber is, about to talk to Ronnie Jonah. And then out of nowhere, European Disunion come down and attack and just beat down Ronnie Jonah, leave her laying as, Amy Weber, tries to call for help. But then they walk away as the was over, European Disunion getting a matter of revenge over Ronnie Jonah tonight, as this gets a 59. Fun stuff. And then we have a night rebound, focusing on the big six-man main event. And then we have a fun little angle between the three top babyfaces here, as Ray Jr. says he's happy to team with AJ tonight, and he's ready to see him and London take to the triumvirate tonight. Just remember, and Ray points out, look, Paul, AJ, you're both tag champs apart, and you can be together, but you need to work together and not let them break you apart. They've wrestled, they're former tag champs together, but they weren't teammates for that long. So just remember, you can do this. And AJ's like, oh, I can do this. We can all do this together. And shake hands, just your little fun little babyface promo as this gets an 81. And then, honestly, this probably should have been the main event. So, before the match starts, Trisha Sky comes out and she's at ringside, sort of sitting at ringside. So you're sort of putting the gravity of the match. And early on, this is just like any of the previous Joanie Gail Kim matches where Joanie just throwing Gail Kim around. But, Joanie goes for the big powerbomb, but Gail Kim actually turns it into a Frankensteiner and then hits a few big kicks, sending Joanie out to the outside. And she's slow to get up, and Gail Kim actually hits a big dive on Joanie to take her out right in front of Trisha Sky. She cheers love Trisha, gets back in. Joanie gets back up, and then also turns to Trisha Sky, and there's a confrontation. And that allows actually Gail Kim to jump off the ring apron and hit a top rope, hit a big bulldog onto Joanie Laurer that actually crashes into Trisha. Trisha takes a bump in over the announcer's table, if we can pull that off. Back inside, Laurer actually takes back the advantage and is about to hit the powerbomb again. But a big Rana, and Gail quickly goes up top, hits the 8 defeat, and gets the 1, 2, 3. Joanie kicks out at basically 3.02. But big pop as Gail Kim gets the victory here to earn the title shot at Superbrawl. So this gets an 86. Joanie gets an 87. Gail Kim gets a 75. Let's see, was there anything? Low experience, lack of selling. Yeah. But a huge win here. And Gail Kim's, rolls to the outside, has a stare down with Trisha Sky, then walks to the back. And, Trisha also heads to the back. But Joanie Laurer is either not shocked, unhappy. She yells at the ref that he, like, what's what I'm looking for here? Like, counted too fast. And then, our referee, Mickey J, like, tries to say, no, it was, he goes, like, 1, 2, 3, you lost. And of course, Joanie is not very happy about that, so kick to the gut and huge powerbomb on the ref, taking him out. And that leads to Teddy Long coming out and saying, look, playa, you can fight each other, but you do not attack our officials. Joanie, you're a great wrestler, but right now, as of right now, you are suspended. So officials come out. Joanie, doesn't fight them and heads through the back. As it looks like Joanie Laurer is officially suspended for the moment, as this gets an 81. So honestly, sort of a way to get Joanie off TV because she's been a dominant champion, and if she's not on, basically, it's the Bill Goldberg problem. Honestly, if we're doing this sort of kayfabe and not totally, why shouldn't Goldberg be always wrestling for the title? Same thing with Joanie. We got to figure out ways to get them involved in other feuds and stuff to build them up. So this gets an 81. And then we go back to, we basically have a little VTR where Alex Wright is in the ring grappling, with somebody. And, Tori Wilson says, she is, Eddy Guerrero says she is on site in Alex Wright's training as he's getting ready for his U.S. title match, as she basically interviews and asks Tori, is Alex Wright ready to take on Jonathan Toro with the outside possible interference? And Tori, puts over outright, says, Alex has always missed that vital spark, that one little thing to bring him to greatness. He's had a good career in WCW, but now that me and him are focused on his own career, there's nothing can stop him, and one way or the other, after Superbrawl, he is going to be the U.S. champion. Really putting that over, as we end with Wright having, our random wrestler, our random trainee in a STF as he's hopping out. As, he says, he basically puts over, if that, his story says, if that happens at Superbrawl, there's nowhere for Toro to go, no matter what kind of backup he has, and whether he thinks he's an emperor or not. I'm still managing Alex Wright because I can believe he can have a great career in WCW and he can be a champion. And Superbrawl, that starts. 68, decent promo, putting over Tori and everything else. And then we see Sharpe and Anderson fighting in the back once again, going over the catering table, just fighting as Sharpe is trying to choke out Anderson before WC officials trying to break it up. Anderson breaks free and, goes after him, and then, is cocky, saying, I kicked your ass twice in that ring. There's nothing you can do, Sharpe. And Sharpe is really mad. He's sort of blowing his little on the path thing. And there we go. As this gets to 64, continuing this little feud. And then in our main event, okay. I mean, I expected this match to be great because it's 2005 AJ Styles, it's 2005 Paul London, it's 2005 Link Storm, and 2005 Billy Kidman. So it's not quite it's slightly post-peak of Kidman, maybe a little post-peak of Storm, but he was still really good. But this is right in AJ Styles being fantastic, and Paul London was really good at this point. And as you imagine, these guys have a fucking fantastic match. This is a very ROH top tier, the SmackDown 6 style, just these guys throwing out a complete banger. Styles and Storm has some technical stuff, sort of London and Storm, landing some super kicks, just flying around, Kidman being a cocky heel, Styles just flying around, going after Kidman, as just put over they really put over London Styles as possible future faces of WCW, London hitting the London calling, but on Storm, Kidman the last second save, Kidman fighting, Styles going for a Styles clash, but it can turn to a Kidman Maple Leaf eventually. London making this, London eventually making the save for him. Big super kick on Kidman London, but then AJ Styles fighting after him, and it's back and forth, and it's fighting. Big move after big move, but in the end, Kidman actually goes for the kick crusher on London, but London fights out of it. Hits, and it says it's a roll up. What actually is he turns it into a bridge, takes Kidman down into a bridge. 1, 2, 3, before Storm can make save. And a few days before Superbrawl, Palumbo gets a huge win over the cold shot holder Billy Kidman. 89, like I said, Styles gets an 87, London gets an 87, Storm gets an 85, Kim gets an 80. Which I think Kidman's just tired. Oh, inconsistency. Okay, there you go. So yeah, great match. And post-match, the fight just, like, fight. Like, Mike Awesome, Ray Schumer gets out, and it's just these guys continuing to fight as announcers put over the big matches at the pay-per-view for 90. And overall, this gets us an 87. Great. Good stuff. So, like, really good show here. Hey, it's Tetsuya Nakano, which I forget. Did he actually do anything in wrestling? Who knows? Anyway. Alright, so let's look at our mail. Anything of note? Jindra's fit, which is it? Like, he had a little, like, ding injury. Oh, one other thing is, I forgot Fujita was, like, on a short-term contract. He's a freelancer, so, like, I brought him basically as a body, and he didn't have, like, the worst, like, stuff. Like, he had 3 matches this year, and he had a couple matches last year to build up the be part of the tag division. I'll eventually bring him up at some point, but fun little stuff here. Nothing too special. He had good some matches, and now he's a little bit more over in the US. Let's see here. So, right, okay. Anything of note on TV? Nope. All right, so before I do the other stuff, since I know some people don't care about the rest of the world stuff, but I like it, so there we go. So let's go over the matches for the pay-per-view. Finally, Superbrawl. There we go. I just want to make sure. Like, did I December, January? Nope. Okay, cool. So we got, of course, RVD versus Jeff Jarrett for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. We've got Jindrak and Devine going after Merit versus Wanted for the WCW Tag Team titles. We have, as set up tonight, Trish Sakai versus Gail Kim for the WCW Women's World Championship. We also have, for the Cruiserweight title, we have Taka Michinoku defending against Ila Skipper and Matt Sydal. We have, for the US title, Alex Wright versus Jonathan Toro. And we also have, of course, Brother Ray versus Monty Brown and Sean O'Hare versus Chuck Palumbo in 2 big Nitro versus Revolution matches. We have Paul London versus Billy Kidman, Raven versus Morningstar, Eddie versus Conan, Awesome Storm versus Ray and AJ, Tajiri and Chavo versus Ninkiyu, and yeah, I think I didn't miss anything. So I think, like, this is actually one of, like, this is, like, a really big pay-per-view, and our first big... It's weird that, like, the first Crossband pay-per-view is 2 months after the being a brand split, but I wanted, like, 4 shows, at least for the start of the year. Like, you know, because, again, remember, it's Superbrawl, it's Slamboree, Mayhem, and Halloween Havoc as sort of our 4, like, cross-brand shows plus Starrcade. And so, there we go. So, it's going to be, like, so, you know, because I wanted cross-band shows and sort of a big 4-5, but it's hard because some WCW shows, like, outside of Starrcade, like, it's really tough to, like, there's not a big 4 like there was in WWE from the start, just because of the way they had shows. They had lots of shows that were, like, one-offs, like Capital Combat, and shows that disappeared for a while, like Bash and Bash at the Beach that was there. And then Fall Brawl maybe should be a cross-brand show, but also maybe not. And yeah, it's just interesting. But anyway, you guys don't want to hear about that. Let's see what WWE did for SmackDown. So, we had SmackDown. We had Amber James defeat Elizabeth Love by DQ. We had Austin, Shane, Triple H, Edge, Orton. We had Mahal defeat Christian Cummings. We had JBL and Littlefellow defeat Steve Richards and Muppet Grind in 77. Edge defeated Ron Waterman in a squash. Brock versus Maven and by DQ, so I imagine somebody ran in on Lesnar. Michaels defeated Kane in a 99. And of course, in a random 100, Jericho and Triple H defeated Undertaker and Big Show. And again, our world champion Chris Benoit not on the show. And just so you can see, as far as what the where are they? Feuds. So the only, like, it's Big Show and Benoit, but like they're not doing anything on TV, and then it's Taker and Lesnar, which is interesting. So yeah, that's the TV show. It's still weird, but it's doing what it's doing. Wait, Rip Rogers is, hold on. Is he even, no, okay, is he here, like, as a road agent? I guess. Is he even good at being a road agent? Let's see, we got Psych. Second is 75, Respected at 59. Not really, so that's interesting. Anyway, then if we go to first our dev feds, we had NWA Wildside. So Wildside TV had Sun Siaki defeated Matt Cross. Siaki got a 51, Matt Cross got a 48. Tony Jones and Claudio defeated Dagon Briggs and Kent Cole. Claudio's at a 53. Tony Jones at a 41. Bobby Lashley defeated Keith Walker. Good one for Lashley. K Graves to Matt Morgan, so give him K Graves a regen. He had a 53. Matt Morgan's 25. He's still getting there. Vincenzo Rhodes into Stone Mountain to defeat Granbola, Ortiz, and Daz. Only thing you know is Chris Mulligan getting 56. And of course, Cross and Dude, Akaboni, and Lazarus. And then for their weekly house show, we had Claudio and Matt Cross teaming up to take on Matt Morgan and Corey Chavis. And overall, we had Claudio getting a 59, Matt Cross getting a 48, Matt Morgan only getting a 26. Comes with Howard, K Graves. Kenzo, Trevor, and Snowman defeat Rampoli, Ortiz, and Daz. Ortiz, again, he's a regen and he's getting there. Overall, like, he's nothing great overall, so that's one thing. So that's another thing. Cassidy Raleigh defeating Ryan Drago. TNT defeat Keith Walker and Tony Jones to win the belts. And Lazarus defeat Chance Profit, so there we go for that. And then if we go to our women's dev fed, we got AW Weekly. We got Michelle McCool, Chillin' Listen, Ariel defeat Mischief and Mega Women. We have Tracy Brooks defeat Becky Bayless at 43. Mahawasaka defeating Allison Danger. Allison Danger is somebody who, if I could figure out, there's sort of just no room at the moment, and plus there's, other people who could throw the same character, so she might be stuck down for a bit. Kilnielsen defeated Madison in a random match, and Nikki Rocks drew with Antisocial once again. So there we go for that. And then if we go to HWA, so they had a big show, which had Dan Ryan and Cyber Squad, Corey Castle, and Jillian Bradburn. Nothing really of note there. We had Ricochet and Page defeating John Cena. So yeah. Divinity of Russ Haas and Joel Bruns defeated Excalibur and Daniel Jacobs by DQ. We had Capitol and Shark Boy defeat Rocky Romero and Andy Douglas to retain HWA tag titles in 57. And Matt Striker defeated Ekmo Fatu to retain the HWA title. And then for the weekly show, John Cena and Barry Bradburn defeated Jorge Estrada and Dustin Lee. John Cena is already up to 47. Ricochet and Page, Andy Douglas, Rocky Romero, Corey Castle, and Club de Deluxe. Capitol and Shark Boy defeat Cyber Swag, and Fatu defeat Ray Steele, and Matt Striker defeat Excalibur. And then OVW had first Tony Mamluk and John Morrison teaming up to defeat Too Tough Tony and Chemo. We had Charlie Haas defeat Shaggy's Too Dope. We had Miss Natural defeat Sarah Stock. Joey Ryan defeated Daniel Pewter in a battle of very bad people, it turns out. Spanky defeated Mafia in an interesting match. Just Spanky is Spanky and Mafia is a big guy. And Justice defeated Mitch Page to retain the OVW Heavyweight title. And then for their Saturday show, Chantel Taylor defeats Sarah Stock, so there we go. I do enjoy that, since the company knows, I guess the AI knows that the company wants, WWE wants entertaining, good-looking people. They actually put them over. Let's see here. Spanky defeated Danny Dorian, 65, and Justice defeated Joey Ryan. So, some other stuff happened. One other thing I didn't show you guys is, as far as mail goes, we have, in a bit of an interesting dating, Alex Lurie, otherwise known as Mickey James, and Teddy Hardison begun dating. If you know Teddy's history in real life, that's not the best for Alexis Lurie, but maybe he'll be a better person in this version of reality. Anyway, other stuff as far as around the world, MLW had a big show, which I'll show you guys here in a second. So Major League Wrestling had their monthly big show. We had Kevin Northcutt defeating Ruckus. We had Valiant J defeating Buck Quartermain in a cage match. Simon Diamond defeated the Colorado Kid. Team Rave, and I believe that's, Johnny Grunge. And Glacier defeated Ron Harris, and that is, Robert Gibson. And Ultra Boy Luke in a 51. Air Paris defeated Tex Salinger in a 56. Jerry Lynn Last defeated B.J. James and David Flair. And Adam Jacobs defeated Mark Mero for the title. So a big one for Adam Jacobs. And then we also had WCW having one of their big shows, their monthly big shows. And, your usual folks you would expect to see on a WC show. Also, El Bronco defeated Buff Bagwell, but in the main events, we had Reagan Golds defeated Castillo Jr. and Savio Vega defeated Carly Cohen. So that's also interesting. Super Gals, who's a independent women's fed that I made up for the game. They had Lady Hapacha defeated Sarah Del Rey. Heather Savage defeating Jeddah. Laura Ali, Rico Yoshida, and Fabi Picha defeating Jessica James, Kara Modori, and Evasive Velez. We had Lexi Fife and Mickey Knuckles defeating Tammy Mouse and Trinity, and Lucy Fur, that's Daphne, defeating Esther Morano, and Simply Luscious retain the title. So interesting stuff, 27, and I believe we also had CCW having a big show. Not much of note. Nick Gage exists, and Prophet, who I don't know who that is, defeating Headstriker Samu Justice Pain in a death match. We had Amazing Red defeat Brian Lee of all people in a strap match. We had Dark Ones, which is Dixie and Sandman, sure. Defeating John Danzig and Buster Messino in a cage match. We had Bells Mahoney defeating Jerry Sagan in a barbed wire match to retain the Iron Man, to win the Iron Man title, and Johnny Cashmere defeating Rick Blade to retain the CZW title. So that's what CZW is doing. Necrobocher 6, and he defeated Onita. Yes, Onita actually doing his US title shows. US shows, rather. Other thing is, just of note, is Grand Scene to Quebec, which is an Quebec indie company that I put in the game, had their monthly show. Renee Dupuy defeated Pete Williams for the international title. So there we go for that. And yeah, that's enough. Some guy named El Generico is wrestling there. And yeah, that's about it of note. And then Pro Wrestling Infinity, which is the new ROH show, ROH company, because Ring of Honor became Ring of Violence, a deathmatch fed, because of course. So they had their Loving Integrity match show, which had Incognito defeating Emilio Cortez, who's a regen of some talent. John Moxley and Davey Richards defeating Rorschach and Peter Goodman. So there we go. Davey Richards and John Moxley, young in their career. Jolly Roger defeated Shane Storm. We had Rocky Romero defeated Vito, Brian Logan, Brian Campbell, Bobby Quance, and Rorschach in a ladder match. We had Doug Basham defeat John Waters. Flash Finnegan defeated Tyler Bateman. Shane Ballard defeated Carly Colon and Savio Vega. David Young, Mark Merrill, and Tony Xena defeated Matt Striker and Future Shock. So this is a world where, like, sort of the veteran indie guys for bringing this version from ROH are Mark Merrow and Tony Xena. We had Jesus Kill Jr. defeating Blitzkrieg, and Air Paris and Ice Train defeating Shannon Beller, Jerry Lynn, and Jeff Vaughn defeating Glacier. So interesting stuff. So yeah, that's about it for the world around. Again, next up is Superbrawl, which we went over, and again, storylines, everything is pretty decent, like 86 for the Raven Deadpool feud. The World Title feud is at a 92. Cruiser Stuff's at a 51. The tag title feud's at a 69. The tag feud's at a 69. The World Tag Title feud's at a 79. Shane Helms doing his Shane Helms things is at a 58, which I might like sort of redo. Gross Kanyon as an 89. The women's, Celine Cartier versus Captivation feud is at a 59. The European Union versus the Young Girls at a 63. Bright Toro's at a 64. The women's feud is at an 83. Sharpe Anderson's at a 65. Kidman London's at an 87. Styles Ray is at an 82. This I'm just going to end because I thought maybe we would do more stuff to Bischoff Long, but not really. Palumbo's O'Hare's at an 87. Goldberg, Brother Ray, Monty Braun's at a 79. And the television title feud's at an 84. So there you go. So that's about it. Next up is Superbrawl, like I said. So again, we got Superbrawl on Friday. And then show afters on Monday, which is Monday. Next Monday is going to be the last time to actually attempt to do to get in your votes for the your end awards. But that's it for now. So if you enjoyed the show, go ahead and like, comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying, and of course subscribe to our channel for more TEW 2020 content, including this series and my New Japan 2004 series, which will be starting the G1 of 2004. But that's for now. So talk later and adios. Have a good one.